What exactly is behaviorism? Behaviorism is the idea which states that all behaviors are learned through interaction with the environment. It is a psychological theory based around understanding observable behavior. The theory posits that adjusting or manipulating the environment of the subject will cause them to react in observable ways. Behaviorists consider the subject to be passive, and learning being something that happens to them, rather than an active participant in learning. Behaviorism has a role in teaching, in aiding teachers to understand how the environment affects learners' behavior, as well as a behavior management tool. Behaviorism started in 19th century and was opposed to introspective psychology. Introspective psychology is a psychological process that involves looking inward to examine one's own thoughts, emotions, judgments, and perceptions. J.B. Watson and B.F. Skinner were the ones who rejected the introspective method. These psychologists wanted to focus on observable, quantifiable events and behaviors. The behaviorism's theory of learning. First, we have positive reinforcements, which show the subject how to react to certain stimuli. The second one is repetition. In certain situations, the positive reinforcements should be repeated. And lastly, the motivation, which tells us that positive and negative reinforcements can be motivators for students. There is also language acquisition process through the theory of behaviorism, and under it are imitation, reinforcements, and practice and repetition. First, we have the imitation. Stimulus response in this theory is a pure case of conditioning. It says that language can be learned just like the way we learn a certain behavior, and learning is through the process of imitation implied by the word conditioning. The next one is reinforcements. All learnings are establishment of reinforcement and rewards. According to the theory, a child will seek positive reinforcement and wish to avoid negative reinforcement. Thus, reinforcements focus on rewards and punishments. And lastly, we have practice and repetition. It says results to habit formation through the repetition of commands. Not only the behavior with accords to the command is acquired, but also the language of the command. We have the examples for behaviorism's theory. First, if students are supposed to get a sticker every time they get an A on the test, and then teachers stop giving that positive reinforcement, less students may get A's on their tests because the behavior isn't connected to a reward for them. But teachers often work to strike the right balance of repeating the situation and having the positive reinforcement come to show students why they should continue that behavior. Another example is a student who receives praise for a good test score is much more likely to learn the answers effectively than a student who receives no praise for a good test score. The student who receives no praise is experiencing negative reinforcement. Their brain tells them that though they get a good grade, it didn't really matter, so the material of the test becomes unimportant to them. On the contrary, students who receive positive reinforcement see a direct correlation to continuing excellence, completely based on that response to a positive stimulus. Next, we have criticisms. Developmental milestones shows that research has shown that children go through a series of developmental milestones. Noam Chomsky argued that behaviorism was either irrelevant when it came to human language acquisition or meaningless as it attempted to apply terms developed from studies done with their animals to human beings. Behaviorism as a one-dimensional approach to human behavior. Behavioral theories do not account for free will or internal influences such as moods, thoughts, and feelings. Sigmund Freud felt that behaviorism failed by not accounting for the unconscious mind's thoughts, feelings, and desire, which influence people's actions. Carl Rogers and other humanistic psychologists believe that behaviorism was too rigid and limited, failing to take into consideration personal agency. To end it up, we say it again that behaviorism is the idea which states that all behaviors are learned through interaction with the environment. That's all for our report. Thank you for listening.